All right, I've got my SDR agent running on my terminal, so I'm going to hop onto my phone, click this text us button on a website and send a message to the agent and see what happens. So message sent, I can see my terminal, the agent received those messages and is now processing them. And while it's doing that, I'm receiving some typing indicators on my phone. So I just got a response from the agent sent to me via native iMessages, and it's now asking me a question, so let me reply to that. Now I'm having a small conversation with the agent, so let me bring up an objection that I have and see how it handles it. So the agent handled that objection perfectly. Now the agent is going in for the booking. It just sent me a booking link. Let me confirm that I booked the appointment, and now I just received the selfie style video confirmation. There is absolutely no way that I would ever know that this was automated. What you just watched is an AI agent that texted a cold lead, qualified them, handled their objection, booked them for a call, and dropped a personalized video to close it out. Every message in that thread came from software, and it costs less per book call than the coffee or SDR drinks while writing one. I'm Tristan, and I've sent millions of text messages across dozens of industries, like GLP-1, real estate, healthcare, and SaaS, and I've watched it add up to $17 million to businesses in a single year. In the next few minutes, I'm gonna walk you through the exact thread that you just saw and break down what the agent did at each stage. Then, the stack underneath it, what Claude is doing as the brain, what Sendblue is doing as the channel, and how the handoff between them actually works. Then the entire build on screen so that you could copy it for yourself. Then the two mistakes that kill 90% of these agents in production, and a hard cost comparison against a real SDR. Let me walk you through what just happened in that thread, because every stage of it is doing a very specific job. Stage 1 of the automation is the lead opt-in, and this is where the lead lands on the company's website and hits a button that says text us. That button fires off a pre-written message to a Sendblue phone number, something like, hey, I'd like to know more about the AI SDR. And just like that, the agent now has the lead's phone number and a green light to reply. Now, the agent's first text back to the lead is the most important message in the entire thread, because it doesn't matter how good the rest of the funnel is, if the lead doesn't reply to that first text, the agent won't have any context. So the first message should be casual and ask a simple question like, hey, this is Tristan from Sales Solutions, by the way. What kind of business do you run? This is a low friction question that's literally built to get a reply back from the lead. With that reply, the agent now has context and opened up a line of communication, and that's where deals happen. Stage 2 is the qualification, and most companies do this with a form, a few fields on a website asking them about team size, budget, and use case. The problem is it feels like a form, and people drop off, are gonna skip questions or give throwaway answers just to get through it. The agent does something completely different. It asks those same questions inside the text thread one at a time, the same way that a person would. What kind of business they have, what they're trying to achieve in the next 90 days, and what's standing in the way of that. Every answer the lead gives is a conversation context that Claude could then use to make the next message smarter. This is why pre-call conversations are money here, because by the time this lead shows up to the actual demo, the rep already knows all about the lead, all about their business, and the problems they're trying to fix. That's a 15-minute call sorted in just a couple of texts. Stage 3 is the objection handling, and this is where the agent earns its worth. When the lead pushes back, the agent validates the objection, separates itself from the generic chatbot category, and offers to prove it on a call. And notice here how it's always redirecting the messages to the goal of the funnel, which is getting the lead on a call. Stage 4 is the booking, so the agent is going to determine if the lead qualifies for an appointment. If they do, it's going to send over a booking link asking the lead to select a time. And then there is stage 5, which is the human reveal. I've seen this one massively improve show rates across every single industry I've worked with. The agent is going to drop a pre-recorded selfie video into the thread, confirming that the call is locked in. The lead watches it, sees a real face, and the question of, was I just talking to a bot, completely disappears. The thing about that video that nobody catches is that it's pretty general. It doesn't say John's name, it doesn't say the date of the appointment or the time of the appointment. It's the same video sent to every booked lead, because it has to scale. But it's shot like it's going to only one person in a casual selfie style video. The agent's library has a handful of these for different moments in the funnel, and they fire off automatically depending on the context. That's the entire funnel. So how does this thing actually work behind the scenes? Once you understand how Claude and Sendblue work together, you'll understand why it's the best option out there. I want to show you the 4 pieces that actually matter when you're building this out. Quick little thing here before I show you the build. So if you wanted to follow along with me and build this in real time on screen, there's 2 things that you'll want to have access to. So first off is the Claude API account to run your agent, and second is a Sendblue iMessage phone line to send out the text, which is, by the way, completely free of charge to start. Just check out the link in the description section of this video to sign up for a free Sendblue account today if you don't already have one, and that's going to assign an iMessage phone line to your agent. Now, the first step in our build is the system prompt that Claude gets. This is the agent. Everything about its tone, its rules, what it knows about the business, what it knows about the lead, what it should or shouldn't say lives here. The mistake that most builders make at this step is making it too short. A generic prompt equals a generic agent. The agents that crush in production have prompts that are packed with specifics about the offer, the ICP, the objections, the tone, the voice, etc. You kind of want to think of it like writing the exact guidelines and playbook for an actual SDR. So here's the first artifact. This is the core of the agent. You can see it's not 3 lines here. It's a structured document with about 7 sections, each one doing a very specific job. So up top here is our first section, which is going to be the role and objective, which in our case tells Claude it's acting as an SDR that's named Tristan, and that its one job is to qualify leads and get them booked onto a demo call. Then after that, we'll have the ideal customer profile. This is the agent knowing exactly who it's talking to, what industries, what pain points, and what buying signals to look for. Then after that, we have the qualification framework. The 3 things the agent needs to uncover before it goes for the booking. And the agent doesn't run through these like a checklist. It's instructed to let them surface naturally throughout the conversation. Then we've got the objection handling section, which in our case is going to give the agent a 3-step framework for every objection it's going to face. It's going to validate, reframe, and then redirect. And we're going to preload the most common ones with a specific scripted response for each one, just to help out the agent a little bit. Then we're going to have the disqualification section, because not every lead is going to be a fit, and the agent needs to know when to walk away cleanly with 1 line and stop. Then we've got the tone and texting style section, which is honestly probably one of the most important ones in the whole artifact. This is where we teach the agent what it actually means to text like a human. No periods at the end of a text, double texting, energy matching, and the specific words it should never use. All of it lives in this section right here. Then we've got our last section, which is going to be the conversation flow. These are the 5 stages that every conversation should move through. You should open, qualify, handle objections, book, and then close. The second artifact is going to be our booking protocol, and this one is pretty straightforward. So once the agent has qualified the lead, this is the exact playbook that it follows to get them onto the calendar. It's going to ask for permission first to send a booking link, then it's going to send the booking link, then it's going to wait for the lead to confirm they've booked in a slot, and the moment they do, that confirmation is what triggers the video. The third artifact is going to be the video library. Throughout the entire conversation, the agent has access to a set of pre-recorded videos that it could send at specific moments throughout the conversation, whether that's right after a lead books, or if a lead goes quiet, or if a lead doesn't show up to the call. Each one here is designed to put a real face in the thread at the exact moment that it matters most. The way it works technically is pretty simple. Each video gets a tag, and when the agent decides it's time to send one, it drops that tag in the response. So the system intercepts it, and it delivers the video through Sendblue as a native iMessage, not a link, an actual video that pops up in the thread. And here's where those videos live in the code. So it's just a couple of links here that you could see that are pointing to videos that are hosted online, as you can see right here. So you record them once, and then you paste the links right in the code here. And then here's the last artifact that ties in everything together. So at the top here, it's got all of the credentials for both our Sendblue and Claude accounts so that the 2 could talk to each other. Then what it's doing, it's loading in all 3 system prompt artifacts and combining them into one set of instructions for Claude. Then in the middle is all of the Sendblue API calls. So sending a typing indicator, sending a text message, and sending a video. Each one is its own function that fires off at the right moment in the conversation. Then at the bottom here is going to be our webhook. And this is the address that we're going to paste into Sendblue in just a second. Every time someone texts our number, Sendblue forwards the message right here, and that's what kicks off the whole thing. And that brings us to this field right here in the Sendblue dashboard, which, by the way, you could access by going to your Sendblue account, going into your system settings, then your API settings, your webhook configuration, and then into inbound messages. This is where you tell Sendblue what to do with every incoming message. Think of it this way. When someone texts your Sendblue phone number, Sendblue needs to forward that message somewhere your agent can process it and then reply. This field is where you give it that address. For testing and building, I'm actually using a free tool that's called ngrok that gives your agent a temporary public address. You run one command in your terminal, get a URL, you paste it here, and then Sendblue could reach your agent instantly. And when you're ready to go live, you swap that ngrok URL for a proper hosting platform like Railway or Render, so your agent runs in the cloud around the clock without your laptop needing to be open. The only problem is most AI agents in outbound right now get clocked as bots within 2 messages, which wrecks show rates. So let me show you exactly how to fix that. Texting is the most personal form of communication that people have. The way you text your closest friends looks nothing like the way that you would talk on the phone, and it looks nothing like the way that you would write an email. And people could tell the difference in a split second between something that's AI and something that's actually human. And the tell isn't usually the words, but the medium. So the believable agents are the ones that are getting optimized to the actual channel they are getting built on. And because we're running ours on iMessage, that means a very specific list of moves. So there's going to be typing indicators that fire off before a message lands so that the lead sees these 3 dots and thinks that someone is typing back. It also has to drop videos and voice messages into the thread for moments where text feel too formal. That way the lead hears a voice or sees a face, which builds instant trust with them. Then there's also things like double texting, where you send a thought, you pause, and then you send a follow-up, because that's how people actually text. Nobody writes perfectly punctuated paragraphs and hit send. That's why you always want to keep your messages under 80 characters, because nobody texts in paragraphs. You even want to let the agent make small mistakes in their text, like missing a capital letter, or an autocorrect typo, or a lowercase gotcha, nice, or LOL instead of a properly punctuated sentence. Because every one of those is a tell that the thing on the other end of the conversation is a person. And this is not something that one prompt could fix on its own. The channel that you choose has to support those moves natively, which is why building this on iMessage matters a lot here, and why the next thing I'm about to walk you through is the trap that kills most of these builds before they even get to deliverability. The trap is that most operators default to A2P SMS without thinking about what they're actually signing up for. And on the surface, it looks fine because you send a message, the lead gets it, and you're paying a few cents per message. It seems simple until you try to actually run an AI agent on it. The first problem you'll face is the cost, because you're paying for every single message. And at the volume an AI agent works at, that could turn into a pretty big number. The second problem you'll have to deal with is deliverability. So carriers scan every message for keywords. There's a list, and the list is really long. Cannabis, weed, CBD, gun, ammo, debt, loan, free, guaranteed. Click here, act now, shorten URLs, all caps, even excessive punctuation. If you have any of these in your messages, even accidentally, your message could get filtered or your entire campaign deactivated. So just imagine you're a debt consolidation business and you've got a perfectly tuned in agent. The lead asks how the process works, and so the agent needs to say something like, we'll help you consolidate your debt and free up cash flow. Now, because of deliverability in A2P SMS, the agent can't say it, so it's going to reply in vague answers, and the lead is going to get confused and probably leave the conversation. The next problem you'll see is compliance. So A2P SMS requires opt-out language baked into every single message. Reply stop to opt out, right? That's the one that we all know. And no human has ever texted that phrase in their entire life. So the moment the agent says it, it stops feeling like a human. Another thing you have to understand is how your messages will actually be perceived by your lead. So if you send them through A2P SMS, the messages you're sending are on green bubbles. If your lead is on an iPhone, the majority of the green bubble text that they get are from spam numbers or unknown businesses. iMessage, blue bubbles, is what they get from friends and family and the businesses that they actually trust. So putting an AI agent on the wrong color bubble just undoes the work the prompt is trying to do. Now, doing this with your personal iPhone could be an option here, but if you're looking for scale and you want your agent assigned to its own iMessage phone line in the cloud, that's where you'll want to check out Sendblue and start building with their free API. And because Sendblue runs on iMessage, your agent won't have the carrier keyword restrictions nor the mandatory opt-out language, and you won't even get charged per message sent or received. Now, the question becomes, is this agent enough to replace an actual SDR? Here's the honest cost breakdown. So let's start with an SDR seat all in. So salary takes up about $4,000 a month. Then you've got their tools and softwares that comes around $500. Management takes up almost another $1,000 because one manager handles around 7 reps. So this totals to $5,500 a month for one SDR seat. Now for the agent. So the agent isn't capacity constrained the way a human is. So technically a Sendblue phone line could handle 1,000 conversations a day. But let's just assume that one agent can replace 4 SDRs. That's 120 conversations a day, 2,400 a month. Same 30 to 40% conversion, that's 720 to 960 book calls. Cost per book call lands somewhere between 39 and 52 cents. That's around $23 a book call versus 39 cents. And the agent doesn't sleep. It replies in 7 seconds at 2 a.m. the same way it replies at 2 p.m. Speed to lead is no longer a metric that you have to manage with a Slack alert. So at this point, you're probably wondering whether you should fire your entire SDR team next week, which is the question that I want to actually answer. My honest take is that for most offers, this stack could destroy an SDR and can replace them entirely, because that's what I've seen in production. My only exception is high ticket. So anything over a $1,000 offer where the sale is a relationship and a trust game, you still need a human in the loop. Not because the agent can't qualify, perfectly can. The reason you keep the human is at the closing time, what gets the lead over the line is someone who understands the lead's business well enough to make them feel seen. And even the most insightful pre-call conversation an agent can run still just isn't a substitute for a rep who's done this 50 times for similar businesses. So here's how I'd actually build this if I were running outbound today. The agent handles the front, speed to lead, opt-in, qualifying, initial objection handling, and booking, because that's where humans are slowest and most expensive. The human shows up once the call is booked. They prep with the conversation context the agent already gathered, and they bring the relationship game to the call and they close. The agent comes back after the call is booked to handle things like reminders, show up nudges, and the post no-show reschedule, because humans shouldn't be spending time on whether somebody clicked accept on a calendar invite. For high volume, low ticket offers, the agent can honestly run the whole thing. And for high-ticket items, the agent and the human work in tandem, each doing what the other can't. So now you've got the agent and the system running behind it. But the agent is only as good as the messaging it sends. And SMS has its own rules that decide whether a thread converts or dies in the first reply. So click this video here because I walk you through the only SMS marketing guide you will ever need. From how to write the opener that actually gets answered to the deliverability rules that keeps your messages landing in the main inbox instead of the spam folder. I'll see you there.